Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Business of Life. Big show today, because today we're featuring the car department on KHTS 1220 AM, your hometown station. You can listen, go to hometownstation.com. So big show today. We're going to be talking about a lot of subjects, but you know, Dave Canton, we're going to open up the show with you talking about something that you and I talked about at breakfast the other day, and that is happiness. You own one of the largest car dealerships in the United States at 18 years old. We talked about your story a couple of weeks ago. You may have sold more cars in the United States than anybody, and you had 150 employees at your car. That's a lot of people, man. So you managed 150 people?
Close to 200.
That's unbelievable. So how do you keep 150 employees to become the largest car dealership in the United States? You're doing something right, and you must have had happy employees.
It all starts with happiness, Coach. So, you know, as all the listeners out there have to understand this story. And
we got 1 million listeners today, boy. I'll tell you, all over the country. All from New Jersey. How do you say, Jersey?
New Jersey. Jersey boys.
Jersey from, we talked to one of your Jersey guys a little while ago. Michael, big shout out to you for listening. All right, so 1 million people listening about happiness. To me, if you're not having fun, you're not happy, right? Don't you, as an employee,
Coach, it starts from the top, and if you're not happy at the top, it's going to trickle right down to the bottom. So what your employees have to understand is the happier you are, the happier you're going to expect them to be. The happier your employees are, the happier your consumers are going to be. So it's all about an experience, and it starts from a process of happiness. Your employees have to feel good about waking up, going to work every day. You know, last week's segment, we talked about the difference between a job and a career.
Right.
You know, there's a huge difference. I never looked at anything I've done in my life as a job. I've always looked at it as a career. And every employee from employee number 4 to employee number 180 of my company always had to walk in every day and act as if it was theirs, act as if the dealership had their last name on it, act as if they were happy. And it wasn't just an act to be happy. They were happy because we gave them a happy environment. You know, daily meetings, motivational speakings, and not just that, but also being there for your staff, you know, understanding that everyone has issues outside of the workplace, but in most businesses, you're there for more hours and more days and you're with your own family. So you are a family at once, and you have to be happy. You know, we talked about happiness just 15 minutes ago sitting outside, and we met that gentleman in the hallway. Everyone has to be happy, because if you're not happy, you're not going to be at your most level of success. You know, and success isn't just the financial being of success. Success to me, when you say, Dave, what's the definition of success? It's pure, genuine happiness. When you could wake up in the morning and go through your day, and let's face it, everyone has their issues in their personal life. And it could be a tragedy of an illness, it could be a financial loss, it could be a divorce, it could be so many things that get in the way, okay, of your feeling of not feeling happy. You have to vision and focus success in a happy way every day. All right, and that's what we did at the dealership.
I got to slow you down, but you know, success represents different things to different people. I mean, success isn't about money. Success to me is about giving back and creating value. But happiness also represents, to me, different things. I mean, is happiness peace of mind? Is happiness giggling? Is happiness smile? What is happiness to you?
Happiness to me is waking up, owning myself, owning what I do on a daily basis, focusing on today and tomorrow and not yesterday. Because, you know, there's a great expression, you can't change the past. It's true. You can't change it. All you could do is make the future better. Live in the now, and that's the focus of happiness.
I agree with that. I absolutely agree with that, because tomorrow may not come. So I like to wake up like you do with gratitude, and I'm going to try to do the best I can today to create value for somebody else, to create value for my family, for my friends, for you, for me, for our 1 million listeners out there all across the country. You're listening to the hometownstation.com, and what a great app, too. Download the app. Go into the App Store, and it's real simple. Just put in KHTS, and 1220 AM will come up, and it's the best, I'm not kidding you, ladies and gentlemen, the best app in radio. All right, back to the car department on the Business of Life. So The happiness factor is an important part of accomplishing something today. It's an important part of giving back. It's an important part to one's life so that they can be creative. I mean, if you're not happy, like, and I don't want to mention his name, the gentleman that we did talk to, but he had a reason not to be happy. His dad is not doing well. His dad's in the hospital dying of cancer. You are a cancer survivor, so it's interesting, your story. Maybe we call a timeout and share that story for a minute. So the doctor comes in the room and says to you, you're 35 years old, and says to you, you have cancer. And what did you say to the doctor?
Well, at that time, Coach, I was 31 years old.
Oh, 31.
I had a 6-month-old son. I had an 18-month-old daughter. And here comes this amazing oncologist with her entourage behind her, walks into the room. Like I said last week, when I tell the story, the hair on the back of my neck stands up. But the doctor looked at me and said, you have cancer. I immediately looked back at the doctor and said, okay, 90% is going to be 90% is going to be my attitude. 10% is going to be your meds. I have my 90, you better have your 10. Because attitude is everything. And I immediately owned it. And I was okay with it. And it wasn't a definition of happiness. I owned the situation. And I was only at that point focusing on the future, on that day, on my vision of becoming healthy again. And that I never let anything else cross my mind.
I love that. That's Dave Canton. I'm the coach, Coach Ron Tunig. Go to CoachTunig.com if you want to find out who I am. So coming out here in the next couple of months is your book. We don't have a title yet. Coming the last segment of the show today is President's Day. You're going to teach people that this may be the best day of the year to buy a car. So hold on to the last segment of the show.
Everybody always asks me every time we do this segment, sorry to interrupt you, Coach, but when should I buy my car? When is the best time? Well, if everyone doesn't know, this Monday coming up, the 15th of February, is probably the most morale you could build around a car buying day. That's called President's Day nationwide.
But last week you said the last day of the month was a good time to buy a car.
No, what I said was if you listen to the show, okay, with those headphones on, okay, obviously he's not listening. What I said was people perceive the last day to be the best day. Oh. That's not always the case.
Well, I'm trying to be a better listener. All right, you're listening to The Business Life. Today, we're featuring the car department with Dave Canton. All right, so the subject is happiness. So I don't see a lot of people as I go through life happy. I don't see a lot of people smiling.
Are you happy, Coach?
I'm happy every day. I'm happy. I wake up every day with gratitude that I have my life. I am happy inside and outside. I love people, and I'm happy because I think I have my health. And everything starts with your health. You did not have your health for a while. You have it back now. So you have to be a little happier camper today than you were 6 years ago.
Coach, it's all about attitude. For me, I never looked at it one day of being diagnosed or one day during recovery of something that happened to me because of anything else. I owned it. I moved on. I didn't let it stop anything.
All right, let's go to this own it thing. So we have listeners all over the country, 1 million people listening to our show, which is all over the country on hometownstation.com. So somebody tomorrow morning wakes up and they're listening to our show and you want them to own it. And let's talk about how they can have the best day of their life tomorrow at their job, at their career, at what they do, because they're taking responsibility for what? What do they own? When you say, I own it, what do you own? You
own your internal self. You have to own what you believe. And internally, if you believe in yourself and you believe in your vision and you believe in what you're going after, which could be a goal, it could be an objective, it could be, it could be a successful, wanting to reach a certain level in life, a plateau. If you own that every day, you're going to eventually obtain it. And if you don't lose focus and you don't get off track, and let me just start by saying this, we're not perfect. I got off track this morning. I woke up this morning and I had a bunch of things going on and I got off track, and you need to surround yourself with people in life that get you back on track because it's
Why did you get off track? I'm just curious.
We'll get into that after the show, but I did get off track. And I am lucky to say that I have surrounded myself with the best people possible, and I have somebody amazing by my side that guides and helps me to get back on that track. But it is important to surround yourself with as many inspirations inspirational people as possible, people that are always going to look out for your best interest. Let's get back to being happy. Let's get back to how important it is to run a business today being happy. My business never would have been as successful as it was. We never would have reached and obtained the levels and goals that I wanted to accomplish if we didn't have a team surrounded by happy people.
All right. Now, you're an unusual case because you started at 18. I know your life story, and you decided when you were 14 years old that you were going to have a life of prosperity. We'll talk about that at another date, but we're talking about happiness today on the business life in the car department. So when I think of happiness, or why people aren't happy, is they set expectations. They have these expectations that they either can never meet, can't meet today, and when you don't meet those expectations as an adult, you know what happens? You get frustrated. And if those expectations don't get met tomorrow and next week and the week after, then you're more frustrated. And then guess what happens? Frustration turns into anxiety, it turns into depression, it turns into disappointment, and it turns into self-doubt. So I think it starts with not having any expectations. Does that make any sense to you, Dave Canton?
I'll tell you, a lot of people agree with you, Coach. I learned that from being around you these last few weeks. I disagree. An expectation is okay. It's okay to want to exceed. It's okay to want to go after and chase a goal. Since I was a young boy, I've always put impossible goals that literally were almost impossible. The question is, what is impossible? What is possible? Ooh. You know what? A few years ago, I would have said to myself, I was never going to be on a radio show. It was impossible. It's possible today. So I love everything you say. I'm a believer in everything you say, but I have to disagree with that because, ladies and gentlemen, don't ever set a goal that's not too high. Okay, reach for the stars, go for the moon, because at the end of the day, if you make it possible, the impossible disappears.
And what I would say, and I did not say not to have goals, but what I'm saying is you work on creating tasks every day to get to your goal. So if you complete your task today, that's one step. Remember, I'll
let you change your story.
No,
Coach,
I'm not changing my story.
I'll let you change it.
I'm not
it's
changing
okay.
it
Own
one
it,
bit.
Coach. Own it.
I own my own story. So what's the journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step. So what I'm saying is look at today. Look at the one step you're going to take today. Here's an example, Mr. Canton, Dave Canton. That's my guest today and my partner on the show. We call The Business Life. Today we're in the car department. That's the part of life. We also have the candy department. Are we ever going to talk about candy on our show? We have the no candy.
I thought candy was a person.
So here's an example. 10 years ago, I'm in this office park in Thousand Oaks, California, and I'm at the top of a hill that's a quarter-mile hill. And I decided that I was going to take an afternoon walk every day. So I walked down to the bottom of the hill and I looked back up and I thought, holy crap, I don't know if I can do this. And I thought to myself, all right, go to your coaching, go to what you ask other people to do, and that is to take one step and stay focused. Instead of looking at the top of the hill, look at each step that you're taking. Stay with me on this. So I started walking that first day and I would look down at the ground, because when you're looking down at the ground, you're not looking up at the top of the hill. You don't know when the top of the hill is coming. But I took each step, one step at a time, until I got to the top of the hill. So that's my analogy of how to live one's life. I didn't have any expectation about making it to the top of the hill, but I did have an expectation, or no expectation, excuse me. All I wanted to do is take one step at a time.
And you eventually got to the top.
Yeah.
Let's talk about, again, reaching certain goals and how to obtain them. It's so important to take certain words out of your vocabulary. Again, I have somebody surrounding me that literally will smack me if I say I hope or I can't or could I. Start to take those words out of your vocabulary and start to utilize I will. It has happened. It will happen. This is how it happened. Start to vision it as you're saying it. So, I say own it, act as if. Act as if you have it already. If there's something out there that you really want, and let's not talk material things, let's talk about real things out there that have meanings in life. Already put yourself in the position. If it's that, if you're in a 2-bedroom apartment and you vision yourself in that 3-bedroom house with the picket fence, go to bed every night visioning it. Wake up every day visioning it. It will happen. And do things throughout your day to make it happen. Don't just think by saying it or visioning it, it's going to happen. That's a start, and it's a start that you should do on a daily basis. But wake up every day visioning what you want, work at it, and it will come.
All right. Some people listening going, it's easy for you to. You've accomplished a lot in life. It's a lot lot easier when you have a sense of accomplishment, but you started at a young age where you had no accomplishment. So you've had this philosophy since you've been 14 years old. But let me just talk about...
Coach, let me just say one thing, okay? I'm not the excuse guy, okay? But I'm also not the person that's going to sit here on this radio and say, you know, things were handed to me. You know, and I'm not acting... I don't want to act as the victim either, but, you know, I didn't have the parental guidance. I didn't have the surroundings of influence by people that were able to guide me in the right direction. At some point, you got to own it, and that's a key word I'm going to keep using. You have to own it. And for me, it was 14. For you, it could be 44. You have to own and take responsibility for where you're at today. Follow me. The only person that can make yourself better tomorrow is you.
How do you but somebody who's listening, who really cares, who really wants to change their life, how do they take responsibility? So can I give you a word to start with?
Please.
Adapting.
I'm going to give you a word back, chameleon, okay? Adapt to the situation that you're in. And we have to learn to utilize that on a daily basis, regardless if it's in your home life, you know, dealing with your kids and doing homework or getting them to make their bed, or if it's at work asking for an employee to do a task that might be simple, but to them is beneath them, or to them is you know, they leave in 5 minutes and they get the clock out, but it's going to take them 15 minutes to complete the job. Adapt to the situation. Put yourself in the other person's shoes. Pretend it was you doing the task. Ask it in a way that makes the other person understand it better. When you're dealing with consumers, you know, we talk about car buying, right? People that are in the car dealership world do it 365 days a year. They live it every single day, 12 to 15 hours a day. The consumer buys a car once every 3 to 5 years. They don't live it. You know, we talk about the car buying experience because it is the car show. People fear it. Okay, that you have to act as if, be a chameleon, and adapt to the situation that you're facing on a daily basis.
This show is called The Business Life. This is the Car Department on KHTS 1220 AM. That's my radio voice. You can listen on hometownstation.com. If you're driving your car and you like what we're talking about, when you get inside the house, go to hometownstation.com and you continue to listen. So the chameleon part, I'm not sure I understand that. You'd have to break that down a little bit. The adapting part, I totally get.
Let's talk about the chameleon part. So let's talk about the car business, because this is the car department, right? You know, President's Day is coming about. You know, as a dealership owner and as a manager and as a leader and as a motivator, my job for years was to always motivate my staff. Even as the owner of the dealership, I was never too good to come down to my showroom, 45 salesmen, and pump them up in the morning and guide them and teach them. So when I say chameleon, as a sales representative or as a dealership employee, when a consumer comes in, be a chameleon towards their situation, okay? If the salesman is 48 years old and there's an 18-year-old that just came in and graduated high school and he's going to go out there and buy his first new car, be a chameleon towards his situation. Understand that his budget and his situation and his circumstances are less. So adapt, chameleon. I always tell my people, okay, try to make it as personal as possible.
Empathy, maybe having empathy.
That's a great choice.
Okay, let's get back to happiness, because that's the subject before we take a quick break. So is there 1, 2, or 3 things that you can share with our listeners on how they can get happy? You said take control of your life. That's number 1, right?
I think you got to take responsibility. You got to own it so you can move past it. Don't live in the past. Focus and vision on the future.
And be accountable, right?
Accountability is key.
Right.
It really is.
Be accountable.
You know, there's a lot of things that people do in life, and I've done many myself, that you like to point the finger and blame. Take full accountability and responsibility for your actions. And you see this pencil I'm holding in my hand right now? See everyone, the million people can't see it, but everybody in the room can see it.
We're on YouTube. We're on YouTube. They can see the pencil. Perfect. We're on YouTube.
Every pencil has an eraser. You know why? Nobody's perfect, and we all make mistakes. Just try not to make the same. Try not to make the same mistake twice.
I was just going to say that making mistakes is all part of it. Climbing your mountain for success. When I climbed that hill 10 years ago,
mountain, hill.
It was a hill. I mean, it
was probably a little bit bigger than a curb coming into the studio.
No, it was a big hill. I mean,
I got to wait 5 times for you just to walk down the street with me. I got to keep turning around.
It was a big hill.
And I'm a slow walker.
You wish you had legs like mine, son.
But you walk very slow. I'm telling you. I guess as your age, you go slow.
I'm a pacer. Okay.
No, you're trying to get the senior citizen discount. Stop.
I pace myself. Hey, the last segment of the show, you're going to share with our listeners how to buy a car next Monday on President's President's Day.
President's Day. That's right.
All right. We're going to take a break here in a minute. We're going to come back and talk about, have you ever opened up a business? Have you ever had a product that you needed to roll out? You're kind of an expert on this too.
Far from an expert, but I learn every day.
Well, you're in the process of helping somebody else roll out a product.
A very special person is about to roll out a product, and she's going to do amazing with it.
Really? Does she? Okay, well, we'll talk about it when we come back. All right, let's take a quick break on our show we call The Business of Life. This is the car department. Maybe next week we'll go into another department, like the sports department. Do you like sports?
I love sports. What do you think of the Super Bowl?
I thought it was, you know what? I didn't like the outcome of it.
That's because you had all your money on Cam.
I like the, now there's an individual that has to take some responsibility.
We're going to talk about that when we come back.
All right, we'll be right back.